How's it going, everybody? It's me, Keqing, and in today's video we're going to be going over a complete build guide for Alhaitham. Now, I will not be showing his kit in this video. This is mainly just a build guide to choose the best artifact and weapon choice for him, but if you want to know all that information, go over to either the Genshin Impact's leaks subreddit, or go over to Honey Hunter World as the database and you'll get all this information. But he's basically just a Dendro Keqing, so he's going to be pretty interesting to build. But before we get into the build guide, a like down below would definitely be very much appreciated, and also subscribing to my channel would be really helpful. I am trying to get to 15,000 subscribers. Also, make sure to catch me live on Keqing. I stream over there quite often, and that's the best way to connect with me one-on-one. But anyway, let's get into the Alhaitham build guide. So first off, these are his Ascension mats if you want to go ahead and farm them out. He uses a new boss drop that I can't really show right here. He also actually uses a new collection material, so we're not really going to have access to this until his actual update, so it's going to be pretty hard to farm for him or get him like to 90 like day one, because you have to collect all of these. The first things we're going to look at when choosing artifacts for Alhaitham is basically what does he do. He pretty much goes in like a Keqing. He actually has like a little tome thing that he can use to like dash forward, kind of similar to Keqing. It's not really a blink, it's more so of a dash towards that spot that you select. But then he's going to enter a state that's kind of similar to Keqing. It's not quite infusion, but you do actually get like infusion on your normal attacks and charge attacks, pretty much everything like you would with a Keqing. But yeah, his E-skill basically is going to give you some extra like damage instances or like damage boost instances, that kind of stuff. And then lastly, his burst is basically just a Keqing ult, except Dendro. So now getting into the artifact selection is going to be kind of similar to what we're looking for when we were building a Keqing, except that he is Dendro, so sets like the Deepwood Memories are going to be great. That's going to give you 15 points of extra Dendro damage, as well as whenever your elemental skill elemental burst hits opponents, the target's Dendro resistance will be decreased by 30% for 8 seconds, which is a good amount of time. It's also going to be triggered off field, but since he's an on-field DPS, you're not really going to trigger that off field. But 30% Dendro resistance decrease is going to be very strong. And also, if you are going for Elemental Mastery on Alhaitham, since he does actually convert Elemental Mastery into some extra like damage bonuses, as well as some of his E-skill hit damage bonuses as well, this is going to be very good. 2-piece 80 Elemental Mastery, plus this also gives you some extra Elemental Mastery whenever you trigger Elemental Reactions, which is, I would highly recommend with Alhaitham, considering that I think he's going to be more so of a spread DPS. Sets like the Shimenawa's Reminiscence could be interesting to run if you don't need to use his burst as often. His burst is a little bit on the pricey side at like 70 energy, so it's going to be hard to get his burst up, so I would honestly recommend staying away from the set for the most part. However, the normal attack, charge attack, and plunging attack damage bonus you're getting from this is a substantial amount that is worth running if you basically find yourself just using Alhaitham's like normal and charge attacks. Emblem of Severed Fate could be an interesting route to go if you are going for more of a burst support Alhaitham, which I think could be an interesting way to build him, because you can get a lot of damage off of his burst, up to 75% damage bonus if you have a lot of energy recharge. Energy recharge will be nice on him, because then, yeah, you can spam his burst around, which I think is going to be a pretty strong thing to do on him. Like 2-piece combos, I would recommend like 2-piece Dendro, and then like 2-piece like Gladiator, or Shimenawa, something like that for that 18% attack. Really, there's not too many other options. Like, you can go also Elemental Mastery as your secondary 2-piece stat, which I think will give him a solid range of damage. But yeah, that's going to be basically it for artifact choice. Now getting into sword options for Alhaitham, yeah, we are looking for stuff that either has like Elemental Mastery substats, crit stats, attack stats. That's pretty much what we're going to be mainly looking for, I would say. The 3 stars Harbinger of Dawn is usually a go-to for the reason that this does come with a good amount of crit damage. The attack is very low on this, but if you are focusing a little bit more onto like Elemental Mastery for your Alhaitham build, this could actually be pretty good, because his like attack scaling type stuff, it does like a attack split between like attack and also Elemental Mastery, so you'd be fine running this sword if you're going for more of an Elemental Mastery build, I think. But yeah, like you get extra crit rate as well for having above 90 HP, so it is quite a strong weapon. The Lion's Roar Sword I think will be an interesting option to run on Alhaitham, just because it gives you like attack percent, which is going to be a pretty okay substat to run with Alhaitham. It also increases your damage against Pyro or Electro affected enemies by 20% at R1 up to 36% at R5, which is going to be really interesting, especially if you are running characters like Fischl with him, or like a Raiden Shogun alongside Alhaitham. You are going to be able to apply Electro to the enemy affected by that, aggravate them and whatnot, and this effect should trigger right here. Alternatively, this could also work for like a burn Alhaitham build, which I think could be interesting as well, because that's going to constantly have like Pyro applied to the enemy, and you're basically going to be able to constantly hit them with Pyro applied onto them, and deal all sorts of burn damage as well as boost out your normal damage as well. So it could be a pretty interesting way to run Alhaitham. Black Sword will be a fun option to run on him as well. This is from the Battle Pass. It gives you crit rate up to 27%, which is going to be pretty important on Alhaitham, considering that his burst does a lot of damage instances, his E skill and like his normal attacks are going to be doing a lot of damage instances, as well as this passive giving you some extra normal and charge attack damage, which is what a lot of Alhaitham stuff goes with. Plus, you're also going to heal based on your attack, which is pretty strong, especially if you don't want to run like a healer, dedicated healer in your team. If Alhaitham's like your main on-field carry, I think this could actually work pretty good. You could run like a fourth like sub DPS, something like that, and that would be extremely strong. The Sapwood Blade is an alright option to use on him, I guess. It comes with like elemental energy recharge, so you get like 30% of that. It does have a good amount of attack, which is one of its better stats, I guess. And then also the weapon passive on this. Whenever you trigger like Dendro-related elemental reactions, you're going to create this like leaf thing that gives you 60 elemental mastery for 12 seconds. So that is going to be pretty good. If you get this to R5, that's going to be 120 elemental mastery that you're going to be adding on here. The energy recharge is actually going to be pretty underrated because that's going to give you like your burst up a lot more reliably. So overall, this weapon is an alright one to be able to like craft from the craft station. I would recommend this for like newer players or players who want to don't really have anything better than this to run. New event weapon might actually be an interesting option to run on Alhaitham as well, because this does come with elemental mastery as a substat. Has a 510 base attack, so pretty average. The passive on this, after an attack hits opponents, it'll inflict this Cursed Parasol upon them for 10 seconds. And yeah, if the opponent is defeated, it actually refreshes the Cursed Parasol's duration completely. So if you defeat whoever you tag with damage in 10 seconds, you basically get an instant refresh. And the character wielding this weapon will deal 16% more damage to the opponent affected by Cursed Parasol. So that's actually really good. So you can get up to 32% on this if you get this all the way to R5, which should be able to happen considering that this is an event weapon. So yeah, 32% damage on whoever you have tagged with this. And if you defeat them, you get an instant refresh. So this is actually really good, even if you are fighting like small mobs or even like elite enemies. Like if you defeat them within 10 seconds, yeah, this is going to be really strong to use. Iron Sting I think will be a little bit more of a consistent option over that Parasol one, just because it does have basically the same base stats in terms of Ascension, but the passive on this is going to be a little bit better, I think, in terms of overall damage and overall damage consistency, because this gives you some elemental damage increase whenever you deal elemental damage, and you can get a maximum of 2 stacks of this, and that can stack up very fast. So basically you can get up to like 24% extra elemental damage just on default, and this won't ever really go away as long as you're dealing elemental damage with Alhaitham. So this is more strong if you are going for overall DPS consistency or like DPS time, but an R5 of the Parasol will actually get you more like single target damage, that kind of stuff. So definitely very interesting. So the 5-star Skyward Blade is going to be a pretty okay option to run with Alhaitham. It does give you some extra crit rate with its passive. You also, whenever you cast your Elemental Burst, increases movement speed, attack speed by 10%, and your normal and charge attack hits deal this extra damage instance of attack. Sadly, that won't get actually converted to Dendro damage with his like infusion stuff. That's not how it works, but that is some extra damage. And this does come with a good base attack as well as ER as its Ascension stats. So 50% ER is going to be very good for burst uptime. I think it's going to be a pretty good weapon to run on him. Freedom Sworn is probably going to be one of his best in slot weapons just because of the sheer amount of elemental mastery it comes with. It comes with like 200% elemental mastery, or like 200 points of elemental mastery rather. Then the passive on this actually can be utilized pretty well. because like when you do like elemental reactions, you gain these sigils that can give you some benefits like extra plunging attack damage, normal charge and plunging attack damage, some extra attack. So definitely a very strong weapon to run on Alhaitham. Just like a Keqing, Primordial Jade Cutter is going to be an excellent option on him just because of the amount of crit rate it gives you, as well as the passive on here, increasing your HP by 20%, so you're a little bit more tanky or won't die as fast. And then it also gives you an attack bonus based on your max HP, so getting some flat attack bonuses on here. This is going to be really nice, especially if you aren't running like attack percent, I think, on Alhaitham, because this is going to boost out your attack without you having to actually run like attack percent on him as well. Also, Mistsplitter can actually be utilized pretty well. Comes with crit damage as an Ascension, a very high base attack, so definitely very utilizable if you are running a like crit and attack build on Alhaitham. But yeah, you get 12% elemental damage bonus for all elements, so that's very nice. And also you get these stack levels that increase your elemental damage bonus further up to 28%, and you can actually like utilize all of this stuff, so it is very nice. And then last but not least, his best in slot weapon. This one is going to give you a bonus to crit damage, so you get like 80%, 88% crit damage on this, which is a very high amount. And also the passive on this, crit rate is increased by 8%. When normal attacks deal elemental damage, you get this effect will be obtained, increasing damage dealt by normal attacks and elemental skills by 120% of elemental mastery, so that is quite strong. So the effect disappears after 16 damage instances or 12 seconds, and you can obtain one of these stacks every 12 seconds. So yeah, that's going to be around his duration of his skills and that kind of stuff. So you are going to still have some like downtime because his elemental skill does have an 18-second cooldown, so 6 seconds of downtime on this. But you're going to be able to use this quite a bit, so it is going to be his best in slot, converting that elemental mastery as well, so quite good. But yeah, that's basically it for the build guide. Let me know if you liked it down in the comment section below. I will also help you guys out in the comment section below to get some better build guides and whatnot. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. We'll see you all in the next one. Farewell.